I also did a lot of internships because I wanted to figure out not just what I wanted to do, but I also wanted to. I think someone told me the best way to figure out what you want to do is you can sit and you can just wait for that right thing to come, or you can just do process of elimination. So I interned at Standard Chartered Bank. I interned at Leela Hotels in the sales department. I interned at an edtech startup that exploded in the US. I interned at a valet parking company. I did a lot of different kinds of gigs. While I started all of this when I was in high school.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Lalith Dhanush Show. Today I have with me a very special guest. Now, the person here is the founder of the Hub Bengaluru, which is a co-working and a co-living space. You must go check their Instagram page to know more about it. Now, the founder of this is Azaan, and Azaan has been an amazing enterprising guy, and this episode, I'm sure, will carry a lot of value for all aspiring entrepreneurs and people who want to go study abroad and make it really big in their life. So stay tuned and watch it till the end and leave your comments down below. Hello Azaan, welcome to the Lalith Dhanush Show. How does it feel to be on the show?
Hey Lalith, thanks for having me. Firstly, sick setup. Super impressed because we're in the process of doing up a new studio at the Hub too. So I'm really happy I got to be here and get inspiration from this.
Nice stuff.
Yeah, but glad to be here finally and to be talking to you.
Nice. Thanks, Azaan, for accepting our offer. And the most important thing is, I know you're a very busy man and you're caught up with all your work. So thanks for making time.
Try to be. No, I think it's super important to get out of your shell, go and see what other people in your space are doing. So I'm here equally to share my story with you and to help you out as a friend, but also to learn, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So Azaan, I remember the first time I happened to meet you, and it was because I stumbled upon a page from a friend and I saw the Hub Bengaluru, and I think about then it had about 5,000 followers, and you were helping budding trainers conduct workshops at your place, and I was super impressed by the place, by how you were helping the community at large. So I'm so glad today I can get to share your story with the world out there.
Thank you for having us. Yeah, we've come a long way since then.
Yeah, true.
Reimagined ourselves about 3 times. And I honestly, if I'm being honest, I think there'll be 3 more by the next time we meet.
Absolutely.
But yeah, we're super blessed. We have an amazing team. We love what we're doing. And I feel like right now you can't really ask for much more than that.
Yeah, true. And I think having a great team is the only way to move up the ladder of success. And speaking of team, I also want to tell everybody out there that Azaan has a fantastic team. And, you must walk into the Hub Bengaluru whenever you're free. And I'm sure you'll be super stoked to see everything that's out there. So Azaan, tell us a little bit about what you do and what the Hub Bengaluru does.
Sure. So this question can go a lot of different ways.
Okay.
People often ask us, even some people who worked with us for a really long time ask us, what exactly do you guys do now, right? We do a couple of different things. We have one core team. We call ourselves a creator house now, because everyone is good at creating stuff, whether it's creating content or building different verticals within a business. We have about 10 different verticals now, working on 11th one as we speak. Everything, we started off in real estate, so everything from co-living, co-working, event spaces, storage, and now recently since the lockdown, we've gotten into media production, content creation, and a creative agency.
Wow.
We have a couple of other projects too that this team manages, but this is in essence a couple of the main things that we focus on.
I think, Azaan, one thing I want to know is how do you manage these many things? Because I know it's not an easy job, but I really want to know how you do it.
Yeah, so I'm sure at some point you were going to ask me why my designation is Chief Happiness Officer, right? It's because you can't realistically manage all these different things.
Yeah.
So at least the way that I've tried to approach it is that we heavily delegate and we bring people on that like to take leadership, accountability, and kind of go and do their own thing. And then I see my job is just to keep them happy, right?
Awesome.
So if they're happy and if our customers are happy, then everything else kind of just falls into place. And that's how we've been able to do so many different things, because we have people that are just a boss at doing what they need to do in their vertical, right?
Yeah, I can definitely agree, because if you don't have an army of people doing that out there, there's no way you can not just function one, but so many at the same time. Fantastic. Now, Azaan, you've been featured for various ventures across the Hindu newspaper, the Indian Express, and many more. Now, I want to know, you started this Hub venture as a co-living and co-working space. Why did you start that? Like, what was the inspiration behind it?
Sure. So I always knew I wanted to do my own thing and kind of like be an entrepreneur. The same cliched ideology from when you're a kid. But it wasn't until I graduated college and came back that I finally had to figure out like what specifically I'm going to do, right? So I came back, I created a holding company, called it Safina Ventures. Safina because I wanted to take advantage of the legacy of my family business and where I come from, and Ventures because I didn't know what I wanted to do and I wanted to keep my options open, right? So if I'm being honest, that's why the name. And I spent a solid 6 months really stressed out, trying to like figure out where I belong, where our strengths are, where my interests are, what I want to do. But I think I also got really lucky because in those 6 months, I got to meet at least 2 to 3 people a day. I went and saw what other people were doing. A lot of people came and wanted to meet us because of the name Safina Ventures. They just thought that we would be as a probably like a startup studio or a venture capitalist that they might want to collaborate with.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think that's 6 months of just understanding. Yeah, sure, I had my education. I was into entrepreneurship and startups at an early age. But going abroad, studying there is one thing. Coming back to India and understanding how things work here and how you fit into that landscape is a whole different thing, right? It's a whole education all over again.
True, and I think a lot of people face difficulty in making that shift, and I think the transition phase is quite difficult because even I was studying my master's in Ireland, and when I had a couple of jobs in my hand, I had to leave it and come start this venture more than textbook. And one of the things that I understood is it's a lot different compared to any country when you compare it to India, because the dynamic and the understanding of people is completely different. Yeah. On that note, Azaan, I want to know, when did you actually know that you want to be an entrepreneur? Back in school, or was it when you were turning 18 and you wanted to do your undergrad? When was that?
I mean, I've always had that bug inside me. So I've grown up around really inspirational people. Everyone in my family, my aunt, my mom, my dad, my granddad, on both sides, my grandparents, they were all entrepreneurs in their own rights, right? So I was surrounded by that way of looking at the world. Like you see problems, you solve them, you create value. And yeah, I followed that in my own little way. In school, I was always involved I helped create my school's alumni association. I served as the president of my student council. At USC, I was on the board of all the entrepreneurship organizations. So anything that I could do to get involved, I was like, I'm in. And then finally, I guess it was almost expected that I would eventually start something of my own once I had enough experience kind of like being part of a couple of things. I also did a lot of internships because I wanted to figure out not just what I wanted to do, but I also wanted to, I think someone told me the best way to figure out what you want to do is you can sit and you can just wait for that right thing to come, or you can just do process of elimination. So I interned at Standard Chartered Bank, I interned at Leela Hotels in the sales department, I interned at an edtech startup that exploded in the US, I interned at a valet parking company. I did a lot of different kinds of gigs. While I started all of this when I was in high school. So by the time I was at USC and I was like doing my undergrad studying entrepreneurship, I started to gain a lot more clarity as to what I don't want to do. Okay. I think that was critical for me in helping me figure out eventually later on what it is I wanted to do.
I think that has a very, very valuable point and a takeaway, because I'm a career clarity coach. I help my students in getting that clarity, and one of the things that I advocate is to try as many things as possible, and eventually you'll figure out what works for you. Yeah. Now, Azaan, before I get into a question based on your internship, the other part of your answer had extracurricular activities. Now, to all the people who are watching, can you tell me what role does extracurricular play in one's, you could say, education or their student life?
Sure. So I think, at least the way I look at it, it's social skills, right?
Correct.
So when you're connecting with people based on interest around a cause, you're learning how to work with people because you're interested in the same thing to achieve a common goal.
Wow.
That's no different than if you're trying to build a business, right? Today, most businesses are built around a cause and a purpose and a mission.
Correct.
So I think it's a good stepping stone to train yourself and to develop your emotional intelligence skills as to how to work with people in the simplest way.
Correct.
And yeah, I got to do that when I did things in my school, in university. We started a non-profit almost 10 years ago,
Whoa.
which is now officially our social wing at the Hub.
Okay.
It's called the Giving Collab. And we basically, we work with kids to help make their lives happier. And we also work with other non-profits. That's why Collab. Yeah, it's all about understanding how to work with other people and to figure out how you guys can achieve your common goals, right?
Yeah, I'm sure what you said has so much value, because I've stressed time and again that stepping outside your classroom, doing something beyond a textbook is the only way you can reach that level of success, because you're out there, you're talking to people, you understand people's perspectives, and there is no other way that you could become efficient than this, right? Now, coming to the second part of that, I also recognize the value of your internship. So can you tell us in detail about maybe what was your favorite internship that you did, and how did it actually impact you in terms of knowledge and your wisdom as a future entrepreneur?
Sure. My favorite internship I did, at least the most memorable one to me, it's kind of a strange one. I was in my entrepreneurship class at USC in my sophomore year, and this really cool looking guy walks in. His name is Skylar.
Okay.
And our professor says I've called him in so that he's really young, you guys will relate to him. And he came in and said this story about how when he was in college in Drexel University, he was trying to figure out what his project is going to be. So he started this app called My Cool Clips, which basically helped guys save haircut styles that they like, right?
Oh, wow.
So it was like a silly idea almost of sorts, but it was his first kind of startup. And the point of him sharing that story with us is that doing something led him to the next opportunity, which eventually got him working with the ex-founder of Shazam.
Oh, wow.
Who ended up becoming his mentor.
Okay.
And he was here today to help recruit for this new startup, which was called Zerks.
Okay.
It was a one-of-a-kind valet parking app solution. It didn't pan out the way they expected now. But at that moment, it looked very interesting, right?
Okay.
And he basically said, if you guys want to reach out and if you're interested, reach out, connect with me after. And I did after the class. He ended up mentoring me. I ended up working for that company for almost 6 months and learned a lot. So I think the way in which that opportunity came about, the fact that I had that relationship with him, I got to see him transition from what he was doing to what he's doing today. It was an amazing, eye-opening experience.
Wow. And I think a lot of times when you meet people like that and call them your mentor, one of the things that you avoid is making all the mistakes that they did throughout their journey, right? And I think that's the significant role of a mentor. What do you think about having a mentor in your entrepreneurial journey, or even the journey of life? What role do you think a mentor can play?
I think there are a couple different ways that a mentor can help you. It comes down to firstly, it comes down to understanding yourself better. Different people need different things, right? There are some people that I know in my friend circle who need a mentor just to give them more ideas about you can also do this, or you can be doing this. And then there's some people like I look at myself and I'm like, ideas are not the problem. Maybe I need a mentor who can calm me down and say, focus on these few things, and that's how you'll succeed. So I think when you go into looking for a mentor, a lot of people say, just go find your mentor, go to LinkedIn, go to your family, friends, just start. I think it may not be a bad idea to just reflect first. What do I need in a mentor? What kind of a mentor is right for me? And if I were to find them, how would I pitch them? That in the shortest amount of time, this is what I need from you. And this is I think that is appreciated a lot when you actually do pitch to that mentor.
Correct. And a lot of times I feel today, people just go out there and throw themselves at a mentor, and they don't build the right context of what they want to achieve and how they want to do it and what role this person could play.
Yeah, and I think that's because it's become so easy, right? I can DM anyone I want on LinkedIn, so I do it. But then sometimes it's better just to slow down and really think about what do I need from this, what's in it for me, what's in it for them, how long am I asking them to mentor me for.
Correct.
These are things that I think we should think about.
Yeah, and as you get down to those details, I feel the relationship becomes easier and the process of learning becomes faster.
Yeah.
Right? And one of the other things that I understood was your internships, your mentorship, all of it happened when you went for your UG abroad. And today, most Indian kids fancy going abroad because they watch the movies first. The second part is most people know exactly why they're going and what they want to get out of it. Now, for an Indian student who's watching this, do you recommend going abroad or would you say no to it? What's your take on that?
I don't think I'm qualified enough to answer that question.
Okay.
But I'll share my story.
Okay.
I had the best time going abroad. I got to meet the most amazing people. I got it really changed my perspective. So a lot of what I'm trying to do here today is because I have lived in these business models abroad. I lived in luxury student housing for 3 years, which I came back and was able to replicate as a cool co-living space for millennials. So it's not like we've invented something new here. But I think it also comes down to what your personal ambitions are, what your background is, what you can afford. There's so many different aspects.
Correct.
On the flip side, I think education has become so disrupted to the point where it's almost a joke if you pay for it today, right?
Yeah.
There is no barrier to education. You can access anything you want on YouTube. I learn everything I'm doing in all my businesses from YouTube and LinkedIn. So, I mean, it depends. For undergrad, I think, yeah, sure, you spoke earlier about social skills. Those kind of things I see value in going, being part of organizations, interacting, hands-on. If you're that kind of person, if you're going to benefit from that perspective and that hands-on kind of action, then yeah, I think it is worth it.
True. And I also feel when you go abroad from an Indian perspective, a lot of your thinking changes because you start bridging a lot of cultural differences. You meet people from different races, different countries, and you soon understand that the world is not as small as you think it is.
Yeah. I will say one thing, right? So, as much as it adds to your perspective to go abroad, to see, to open up your mind, and to do all these things, right? You still have to come back to India and again relearn how to fit back into that scenario, right? So that's also there.
True. Yeah, the part that I was trying to catch up was you said many people go there without right financial planning because a lot of times when you go abroad and if you're not backed financially or if you don't earn a scholarship or if you're not set out there, it could be a dead end where you're trapped there for like 4-5 years paying student loans, and a lot of times people end up going there and feeling homesick. So there's a whole new dimension to it, right? So I definitely do feel before you go there, talk to people who've already been there and gain some perspective so that
always,
you can make a better decision.
I was homesick my first year. My sister, when she went, was so homesick that we had to go there to convince her to stay. But then obviously I've seen this with a lot of my friends. That first year is incredibly difficult and it can go either way. After that, it becomes 3 years, then they forget everybody here. They're like, I don't need my parents, I'm good, I found my friends, I've got my setting. So yeah, I think I've seen all sides of it, but definitely when you're making a big decision, doesn't hurt to talk to a few people that have gone there, talk to your seniors, your friends, family friends, everyone's there to help you, right?
Very true.
Everyone's willing.
What do you think is the difference? Now you studied in India and you've studied there. What do you think is the difference in the education system? What do you think stands out the most? I don't necessarily think a lot, like the whole debate about the problems with the Indian education system. I think that it's tempting to get into that and to say that it's so different. But then what is the Indian education system? You can sit right now in India and take your courses on Coursera and get certified from any college in the world. Or you can learn on YouTube and LinkedIn, right? So if you define the Indian education system only as the official old school Indian education system, which is also trying hard to reinvent itself, but okay, it may have its certain drawbacks at the moment. But I'd like to think we're in a time today where if you look at the way Byju's is raising funding, all these upgrad, all these companies, why?
it's because there's no longer Indian and American and Canadian education system. There's a universal education system.
Correct.
If you're smart enough to go and pick up the knowledge you need, no job is asking you for a traditional college degree today.
Correct.
We have 23 people part of our team. I don't even remember reading their resumes. Can you do this? Can you do Instagram stories better than anyone else? You have the job. It's literally that. I mean, yeah, there are different kinds of companies, but I'm saying at least for creative people, the kind of people we work with, things have changed today. It's not even like they're going to change.
Yes, and I think that's a big myth to bust, because learning is at your fingertips, and like you mentioned, you could go on YouTube, you could go on LinkedIn and literally get whatever you want the way you want. And people today, I still feel, complain way too much, right? I also believe that the content you consume, like the food you consume, makes who you are.
Yeah.
So I'm not against meme pages, but you can also have a few people that you look up to and you want to replicate, and you want to have a specific role model. Go chase them. Go talk to them, or possibly just look at their content and you could replicate and become something great.
No, I heard this on Clubhouse in one of these sessions, and it stuck with me. Someone said that in the real world, they say that show me 5 of your best friends and I'll tell you how your life's going to pan out, right? There's something like that. Today, that's equally true with show me your most followed accounts, or the accounts that you check the most often, and I'll be able to get a quick read on how your mind is working and what you're going to be thinking about and where your life's going to go. Because and that's when it becomes important, once you become aware that how your feed is curated by the algo, and you're interacting with thought leaders and people that you're actually learning from, rather than potentially going down like a rabbit hole of shopping or like darker stuff in any area, right? I think it becomes equally important to tell everyone in our age group and people that are learning on these platforms, be aware of who you're curating who you're allowing into your feed, because without knowing it, very quickly they could be dominating your feed and your thinking, right?
Very true. And you get influenced to such a point that today majority millennials or Gen Z kids spend at least 4 to 8 hours on their phone, and it's a very big chunk, right? Now, speaking of who you learn from, Azaan, I want to know, who have you been learning from and who have you been looking up to as a role model in your life, and how have you grown from there?
I look up to so many people. I think there's inspiration all around us, right from the people that are part of our team that are creating content in their different niches that are just killing it, to my dad and my granddad who've played such an instrumental role in helping me become who I am in terms of my risk-taking ability and just everything I'm able to do. It's because I've been told, make your own mistakes, figure it out, we're there if you need anything. But I think that's something also that I'm super cognizant of and fortunate that I have this, because I know a lot of people may not have unconditional support from their families.
Correct.
So I think that's also something that's super important that we understand in India, right? More than in other places, that it's okay. Just back your kids. Treat whatever projects that they're doing as an educational process, right? So I think that's also something where we have a ways to go. But that's something that's really, really helped me get to where I am today.
Okay, by that I understand that your family has played a significant role. Did they also play a role for you to come back here? Because usually when people go there and find the sweet taste of America or Ireland or wherever they are, they don't tend to come back. Was that one of the reasons you came back? Yeah,
it was subtle, but it definitely did play an influence. I would have probably been working at Robinhood. It's a fintech startup.
Okay.
Or WeWork, one of these two companies. I'd applied and got into both. And I remember having a conversation with my dad, and he said, the most you're going to do is a year. And then you had to take the B1 lottery, which was pretty much not in your favor, right? So he said, if anyway is going to be coming back, might as well come back now and have a head start amongst the people in your age group. And that argument kind of just made sense to me. I had 4 years of kind of having all the experiences I needed to have. I traveled, I did all the courses I wanted to. I met a ton of incredible people, made a good network. I think I was ready to come back.
Awesome.
Yeah, and at least the way it was for me is that I'm back doesn't mean I'm back. I can keep going back and like I still had the ability to kind of travel and again find inspiration by going to new places. But my base, I think, I'm fairly happy that I chose to make my base here back again.
Awesome, man.
Yeah.
So let's speak about the people who influenced you post you came back, and that talks about the kind of networks you have. Do you think having a good network around you plays a difference, especially in your entrepreneurial journey? And can you tell me any specific instance about how it actually added value to you?
Yeah, so I have an interesting perspective on this. I think yes and no, right? Because I come from a legacy family that's been doing multiple businesses in Bangalore for over 100 years, there are so many networks that I can tap. I feel looking back that I've not maybe done justice to that and not tapped those networks because I decided I wanted to build my own network.
Your own.
Yeah. The path that I chose, the approach I chose rather to building my network was one that would be highly relevant to me. So if you see the way I've used LinkedIn or used Instagram, we have a strategy of putting out content at scale that will bring in opportunities and people that we think should be part of our network and that will stick around with us till the point where they find that they can be synergy and we can do something together. And our Instagram is the best example of that,
Correct.
right? So we don't pitch people. People come to us and say that we saw you put that, can we work on this together?
Wow.
The process is just reverse.
Awesome. So then I want to ask, what do you run any specific programs at the Hub where you invite various artists or various people that you keep collaborating with? Because I know I have one word for your page, it's lit all the time because you always have engagement. I don't think it's that easy, you know, you have somebody or the other who's always engaging and it's always a new face, it's extremely fresh. And for anybody who's there, one more time, go follow the Hub because they're absolutely amazing. I can vouch for it. How do you manage to keep it so interactive, so productive and great?
I think in essence, the one thing that has worked for us is that we don't talk about what we do. That's why a lot of people, even now, we have 37,000 followers and people asking us, what do you do? Every day we want to talk about something someone else is doing. Literally, we have a program called the Spotlight program. We have an artist spotlight, creator spotlight, brand spotlight. We're launching a design spotlight. We are highlighting and showcasing work other people that we are in that allied field, what they're doing, and kind of shining a light on them. And that's how we've been able to kind of build this community around. If you follow the Hub, you'll get to discover cool shit.
Wow.
In an essence. And you asked about programs. So we have two programs we're pushing hard right now. One is we have a program that we've been doing for about a year now. It's called the Resident Artist Grant. Every month we get about 100 applications of people that are artists across India that want to live and work in our co-living, co-working spaces for 3 months, completely on the house, and build their personal brand, whether it's in art or architecture, whatever they do, or music. We've had about 6 people go through the program. We have another one that's in it right now, and it's just a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun for us as a team, for the people that are involved. In the past, we've had people paint our walls at the Hub. We've had people do music jams. We have another artist who's come in now. So we have a lot of fun with the Resident Artist Grant program. If you're an artist, if you're in India and you want to live and work in the heart of Bangalore, please apply. The second program we just launched a few days ago. It's called the Entrepreneur in Residence program. This one is for if you're an entrepreneur that is already building something, or you've always had that entrepreneurial bug that you want to build something, but you don't know what or how. So there are 2 ways you can get involved with this program. You can either come and build your startup at the Hub, or you can come and build one of our verticals that we're about to launch, and you can head that project.
Wow.
So we just got 2 amazing guys. They run a page called Barely Opinionated.
Okay.
And they've just moved into the Hub, and we're super excited to see what they're going to do.
Man, I think this is so refreshing, right? Especially when you do a program like this. You get to meet new people, you get to see new ideas every single week or day. And I think as an entrepreneur, this is what we feed on, right? You want that refresh button all the time so that your brain keeps churning it out. Now, Azaan, I also know that you run a couple of internship programs, and I advocate internships to the highest level. So I also do recommend everybody watching this. So if they want to intern or if they want to do anything, they can DM us, and we'll definitely get you on this. And
For sure. If you're a creator of any kind, if you're good at Instagram, if you're good at LinkedIn, if you're good at blogs, newsletter, email marketing, YouTube, you like being in front of the camera, you like being behind the camera, if you're into graphic designing, these are all internships we're actively recruiting for. So please, I would be happy. Yeah.
yeah. Awesome. So I think for the kind of opportunities that are there, I think it's just about time before you move from good to absolutely great. Because right now, I really find you guys extremely good at what you're doing. You have a fantastic team, and man, I think you are serving as an inspiration to a lot of people who are around you in your own circles, and teaching them how they can really go from average to unstoppable, like I love to call it, in their own careers.
The only thing I want to say is that right now, appearance, it can look like that because we're growing so fast. But what I tell my team every single day is we just have to survive. We're in survival mode right now. Yeah, we are expanding our team, but we're still in survival mode. A lot of our core businesses in areas that we're active in are just about finally recovering from pre-pandemic levels. So I think being aware of the fact that no matter what your social presence may look like, the core business is still, just about getting by.
Yes. Now, speaking of that, it also reminds me to ask you a very big question, right? Azaan, we've spoken about a lot of learning, we've spoken about mentorship, internship, all the good things that life has to offer us. But Azaan, there's a flip side to everybody's life, right? What has been the most challenging moment of your life as an entrepreneur or as an individual? And can you tell us more about it?
I think there's so many things when you're trying to, when you choose to become an entrepreneur, or when you choose to go down that path of starting a company. I think there are multiple times where you will feel like everything's it's just not going to work. And if you're building one thing, it's hard enough as it is, as most people know. But if you're trying to do 10 things, you're signing yourself up for that level of self-doubt that will come about at certain points. And I think at that point, having a support system of people in your family, in your friends, in your team, really having that understanding with them that, when things are good, they're really good because 10 things click. But when things can go bad, like if the pandemic hits and you're trying to do many things, it can be just as bad because you're responsible for 23 people, their families. We have an entire support staff team. So there were a lot of difficult moments that we had to come across. But I think humility, just being aware of where people come from, what they expect from you, and what everyone's story is, like why are they here? Not everyone's in it for the money. Some people are in it for the mission. Some people in it because money plays a significant component. But I think the thing that was the biggest takeaway in learning from me was to watch how our team chose to internally kind of say that we will take care of each other and we will figure it out. We will all take a hit so that no one has to be let go.
Correct.
We are so blessed. That was the thing that I'm the most proud about. It's not the growth on Instagram, not anything else. We've been able to repurpose our team and just keep them alive. And that has been something that I think is our biggest achievement.
True, because if you could face a situation like that, and I think it was one of the toughest and the most challenging situations that most entrepreneurs did face, and if you and your team did stick by that, that means it speaks volumes of not your talent or skill but character, because character is what takes you a long way in this journey. And I must say, Azaan, it's been fantastic. On that note, I want to ask you one last question before I leave you. Sure. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years, Azaan?
If I'm being honest, I don't know where we're going to be in 5 months. We've pivoted as a company so much since we started being in real estate and co-living. If I could see where we would be in 5 years, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing because it wouldn't be fun to me. It's the uncertainty of not knowing, being open to opportunities, having different kinds of people come in, and just saying that, we could do this. Like we may get into edtech.
Correct.
Or we may get into helping other companies run their HR the way we're running ours.
Wow.
So I think just having that magical possibility of we could do anything we don't know yet is what keeps us alive as a team.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And I like how you kept it real, because many people actually say, hey, I want to do this and this, but the ability to flow and just be there and do the right thing at the right time is a true quality of an entrepreneur. On that note, thank you so much for coming to this wonderful show. It's been a pleasure to have you.
Thank you so much for having me, dude.
Thank you so much.